The Hurons were a tribe that often depended on other allegiances to give them an advantage in the U.S., geographically or just by means of living. Much of the Huron tribe was forced to move west, where they formed with the Teonatati, a related tribe. Being pressured by the Iroquois, they became very active in the fur trade in the Green Bay region. The Hurons settled in the Michigan and Ohio region, and these lands were actually recognized by the U.S. after the War of 1912. However, it was inevitable that they couldn't hold these lands long. The tribe ceded almost all of it by 1819. They pushed them to Indian Territory, modern-day Kansas. The conflict of slavery then arose within the tribe. Some tribal members were slaveholders, while others strongly opposed it as abolitionists. After relocating to Kansas, the Huron finally held a somewhat fair treaty with the United States. Their given territory in Kansas was being given away to whites. However, the Kansas-Nebraska Act of 1854 divided the tribe into citizens and non-citizens. While the non-citizens had to move to the new Indian Territory, Oklahoma, the tribal members granted citizenship were allotted part of the reservation held by the Senecas. Perhaps the sole reason the Huron held any status or success in the United States was the prosperity of their fur trade. They're often described as the middleman of the fur trade with the French. Samuel de Champlain, the founder of New France, developed a close relationship with the Hurons. They operated like a business, trading food with other tribes for furs, which they would then take to Quebec or Montreal and trade for French goods, which were very valuable for them. However, both the Iroquois and Huron wanted to control this trade network. Whichever tribe had control of the fur trade would have power over the other tribes. This fighting was actually encouraged by the Europeans because they knew they were only bringing each other down, which would allow the Europeans to control the fur trade themselves. Thus, the trade network only lasted until about the mid-1600s for the Huron. Unfortunately, this war with the Iroquois and epidemic diseases cut the number of Huron in America in half. Today, the Huron, or Wyandot, live on a reserve in Quebec, Canada, where much of their fur trade went through. The Oklahoma tribe supplies many important services today. They provide student scholarships and meals for the elderly. The Quebec Hurons today are mostly Catholic and French. They are known more widely today as the Wyandot, as Huron was simply the French name for the tribe. The Huron situation of constantly being relocated before ever reaching a treaty to gain citizenship definitely affected how their lives are today. While relations weren't good with the United States, and their reservation is located in Canada today, the United States did grant them 3 major settlements and independently governed, federally recognized tribes in the United States. Injustices were definitely made up for when the U.S. paid the descendants of the Wyandot $5.5 million. This payout was in order to make up for a 143-year-old treaty in which the tribe was forced to sell their Ohio lands for an unfair value in 1842. Overall, the Huron and Wyandot were put through hard times by the United States, but in the big picture, a reservation was set up for those tribal members around today, and descendants of the tribe were paid reparation in an effort to apologize for the hardships they were put through.